Every sip of Coca-Cola brings you closer to the excitement of the FIFA World Cup 26. Because nothing compares to the joy. So grab a Coke and drink in the FIFA World Cup 26. No purchase necessary. 13 plus in 50 U.S. states and D.C. with a web-enabled device. Ends March 1st with 8 entry periods. Rules at CokeURL.com/soccer rules.
What's up, everybody? All right, this episode, I am going to tell you my personal 10 reasons why you should be hunting with an AR platform rifle. Number 1, versatility. Man, the AR platform is an incredibly versatile weapon system that can be adjusted with ease. It can be adjusted for the small statured hunters all the way up to your largest hunters with the biggest wingspan. And also, there's a shitload of different barrel lengths that you can choose from, especially when you include the AR-10 side. And along with that, there would be even more versatility, even more variety with this weapon system if you chose to hunt with it. Honestly, if it wasn't for that fucking jackass FDR signing the NFA into law back in 1934, as far as like short-barreled rifles go, I know short-barreled rifles aren't necessarily the best hunting length barrel. You're talking like sub 16 inches. So generally those aren't the best to hunt with. But honestly, if you're really thinking about it, there's been a lot of different rifles that came out with short barrels that are really optimizing like twist rates and everything else. And it just offer you a lot more freedom if we had more freedom, you know, if it wasn't for those fucking assholes in 1934. But also you can swap uppers super easy. And honestly, it's easier than changing a car battery. So if you know how to change a car battery, you can easily swap upper receivers and vastly change whatever calibers you're hunting with. You know, everyone thinks of the AR-15 being a 223, 5.56 caliber rifle. But even with an AR-15 platform, same lower, change the upper, and you're shooting, you know, 224 Valkyrie, 22 Arc, 300 Blackout, 450 Bushmaster, 350 Legend, and fucking there's probably a ton more, but those are just a few that I thought of, just that can offer you some more versatility when you're out there hunting. And I know a lot of guys, when they're coyote hunting, they look at the 223 as being kind of a lot of people, it's gotten pretty popular to poo-poo on the 223 when it comes to coyote hunting. I know it's not exactly the best caliber for the punch, you know. A lot of guys like to opt for a little bit more speed, some of those speedier cartridges like a 22 Arc or something like that. But with an AR-15, you can also switch to like a 450 Bushmaster or a 350 Legend. And those are super popular in the Midwest, especially in those straight-walled cartridge-only states. So I'm telling you, swap out that upper, put on a different calibered upper, and you're fucking hunting, guys. All right. And also when you incorporate the AR-10 side of things, you're talking 308, which is what a lot of people think of when you say AR-10. They're thinking 308 or 7.62 NATO cartridges, whatever. And, you know, you're talking semi-automatic 308, pretty fucking badass. So you're getting all the versatility with that, and you can hunt big game with that caliber, whatever. You know, it's that 308 cartridge gets slept on quite a bit by people, but it is a very, very, very fucking lethal round within its optimal ranges. And also with an AR-10 lower, you can swap out, like I said, swap out the upper receiver, get yourself a 6.5 Creedmoor, a 243 Winchester. Fuck, I've even seen an AR-10 chambered in 300 Win Mag. I can't remember exactly who makes it, so if you guys out there know who that company is or who that guy is that makes the 300 Win Mag in fucking AR-10, insane, nuts, fucking badass. Like, you're talking the quickest way that you can shell out, you know, like $3-4 per trigger squeeze, pretty sick. But also, like, that's just going over the versatility a little bit. There's so many other things you can do with an AR platform, and honestly, for me personally, I love the versatility of it when it comes to, you know, shooting one rifle between myself and like my daughter or my wife, like they can handle an AR platform rifle much easier than like if they were to grab my 30-06, my Ruger Hawkeye 30-06, just because it's, you know, you need a little bit bigger of a stature in order to handle some of those bolt guns. Not all of them. There's some people out there, you know, some small statured females out there that can handle it just fine. But it's so much easier to collapse them down and get them to fit properly. All right. Number 2, follow-up shots. That goes without saying. Obviously, when you're using any type of semi-auto rifle, you're going to have very fast follow-up shots. But with an AR, you'll have what I like to call fast as fuck follow-up shots. Like some with an AR platform rifle, it just is more conducive to like getting back on target. It's the ergonomics of it. Maybe it's just because I'm super used to it, and it's a rifle I've shot probably the rifle platform that I've shot the most out of my entire life is an AR. But you're talking, you can shoot pretty fucking quickly with those if you need to. But as hunters, obviously we always strive for that one shot, one kill sniper mentality. But when that doesn't work out, I think it's really nice having a gun that can stay on target, track a target smoothly, and deliver really quick subsequent shots. We're not out there spraying and praying. That's not what I'm not fucking saying that, and not advocating for spray and pray mentality. I'm advocating for you have an animal, whether it's a coyote, you know, a fucking wolf, a deer, whatever comes out in front of you, and you get a little worked up or whatever else, and you take that first shot and it doesn't hit exactly where you want it to hit, and say that animal runs, like takes off running, and it runs out there and stands staring at you, you know, 20, 30 yards further, then you can track and get right back on that animal and put another shot into it. Because that is one thing I am a huge advocate for, no matter what rifle you're shooting, is, you know, if that fucker's still standing, then you should probably keep shooting. All right. If you can ethically and feasibly take that shot, you should keep shooting, because I think you owe it to the animal to put it down as fast as possible, no matter what you're hunting. So that is one thing I am an advocate for, is if you can take nice, quick, accurate follow-up shots. And in my opinion, no rifle does it better than an AR, because it's just the ergonomics, like I said, flow very well with, you know, taking a shot, following through, and taking another shot if you need to. All right, number 3, magazine capacity. All right, I'm talking 30-round motherfucking mags, baby. Let's go. Especially when you want to lay the dick down on some varmints or take out an entire pack of coyotes. I say more the merrier. Why fuck around with smaller magazines and less ammo? If you can fit more ammo into your magazine, then why not take it all? You know, I'm not saying you have to use every single round out of a 30-round magazine, but you might as well have it, especially when you're talking, you know, predator hunting or varmint hunting or something like that. You can load up one 30-round magazine and be out there, or, you know, more if you get some of them bigger rounds like motherfucking drum mags or something like that. It's like you can load it up once, stay out there and shoot as many coyotes as you want, or, you know, I guess if you miss, especially if you're a misser, if you will, say you're not super duper accurate or whatever else, if you need a couple extra follow-up shots on certain animals, you know, especially I'm more or less advocating more for the coyote side or the varmint side. Like, you can sit out there with 30 rounds or more and just lay the dick down on those bastards, then I say have at it, dude. All right. And also, I guess when you're talking like culling a certain animal type, like species, like I've talked about it quite a few times. I had a podcast with Derek Verbeek not a while back. We were talking about deer hunting and, you know, thinning the herd in certain areas, in certain parts of the country or the state that you live in. You know, it's nice to have those extra rounds in a magazine, especially if it's a larger magazine. One thing I will note about large magazines, check with your local state laws. I don't know for sure which states, but I'm sure there's some states out there that that limit your magazine capacity depending on the animal that you're hunting. So do your due diligence as a hunter and as a sportsman to check your state laws and make sure your state game laws and make sure that you are adhering to those standards. If they limit you to 5 rounds, just take 5 rounds out there. Don't fucking be a dumbass and load 30 rounds up and be like, oh, I heard on the Victory Drive podcast that you can hunt with 30 round mags. So here I am fucking shooting a 30 round mag during deer season. And, like, it's not my fault if you get caught, dude. If you do go out there and do something stupid like that, not my fault. Check your state game laws. Make sure that it's legal to hunt with larger capacity magazines. All right. And also, while you're at it, why don't you just go buy some 30-round magazines right now? Go out to the store, go to Shields, go to fucking Fleet Farm, go to Cabela's, Bass Pro, wherever you go to get magazines. Go out there and buy a few 30-round magazines just because we've seen some crazy shit coming down the pipeline from these goddamn bureaucrats in Washington talking about limiting our magazine capacity. So just go out there and buy it now, because if they do pass some stupid shit like that, then you already have it. And most times when they pass dumbass laws like that, they grandfather. If you already have them, then you can have them. But they just stop. It's easier for them to ban it and just ban the sale of an item rather than going door to door and raiding your house for 30-round magazines. I don't foresee that ever happening, but I could be wrong. I don't know. The ATF, they're fucking Ruby Ridge, ring a bell. Waco, Texas, ring a bell. I don't know what they're going to do. They might come and burn your house down and kill your whole family, for all I know. But more the reason why you should have 30-round magazines in your house. So go out there and buy them while they're still legal, and hopefully they never become illegal. Number 4, customization. The opportunities are endless with this one. The AR-15, also called the modern sporting rifle, is the absolute best-selling rifle platform in America. I think there's something north of 20 million AR-15s, AR-10s, AR platforms in circulation. There is absolutely no shortage of aftermarket parts that you can swap out to your heart's content. You can get into one pretty cheap initially and then upgrade as life goes on. And in a few short years, that some bitch will only look the same to liberals. Let's face it. You have a lot of customization opportunities with an AR platform, and it's not going to let up anytime soon unless, once again, those fucking assholes in Washington decide to ban it. Then you'll start seeing less and less. But there's a shit ton out there that you can choose from with an AR platform rifle. So customization, that's another big one. All right, number 5. This one might stir the pot a little bit, I guess, but it's reliability. I know some of you might disagree with me, all right, but for semi-automatic rifles, these are very reliable as long as you understand the basic care that this rifle needs, all right? So if you know how to maintain this weapon system properly, if you know how to maintain an AR-15 or an AR-10 properly, you know how to take it apart, you know how to take out the bolt, you know how to clean it up a little bit. You know how to run a fucking bore snake through the bore and clean out that star chamber. You know where to rub lube on the parts, on the rubbing parts. You know where the metal meets metal. You know, so if you know where to lube, where to clean, then these things are going to run. All right, they're just going to run very, very well as long as you also have a well-built one. Right, they do sell some cheap ones, and those generally kind of can shoot like shit, I guess, but do your due diligence just like anything else, right? There are shitty made bolt action rifles out there. There are shitty made cars out there. There are shitty made anything out there. So especially when it comes to a weapon like this, the most popular rifle in America, you're going to have a supply and demand issue, and there's going to be a lot of different companies out there trying to fill that void and meet that demand, all right? And obviously, this is one thing that makes American companies great, is that they do generally try to keep the cost down. And some of these companies, they chintz out in areas they shouldn't chintz out at. All right. So, I mean, if you're just in your backyard plinking, it don't really matter. But when you're hunting, you want a weapon that's going to run. You want a weapon that's going to run reliably. And these weapons can and will run reliably as long as you do your part. Okay. So, with this, I guess I kind of do want to go through In the Army, we learned an acronym called SPORTS. All right. So when you're running an AR, if you have a malfunction, think sports, SPORTS, right? So in the Army, they taught us that it's an acronym that stands for slap upwards on the magazine. So when you say the first S, it's slap, and it means slap upwards on the magazine. Make sure it's fully seated. Pull the charging handle all the way back. So P, pull the charging handle all the way back. Then you O, observe the ejection of the cartridge. So when you pull the charging handle all the way back, a cartridge should fly out the side. So when you have that pulled all the way back, you observe in your weapon, make sure that cartridge fully ejects and that there's another round sitting there waiting to be ran into the chamber. So once again, so slap, pull, observe, release the charging handle. Don't fucking let it slide. Don't ride it. Don't hold the charging handle and let it go while it's still in your hand. When you pull it back, you release. That means let it go. And you just let that fucking bolt do its job and run a new round in the chamber. All right. And then you're also watching it. So you're watching it and ensuring that a fresh cartridge is loaded after you release it. Then the T, so slap, pull, observe, release, tap, T, tap. So tap the forward assist. That's located just on the right, usually on the right-hand side of AR. And I'm sure they make some left-hand ones, so it'd be opposite of that. But it's that little button that's facing you, right? On the right-hand side of an AR. You fucking that's what you do. You tap it with the palm of your hand. So it's called a forward assist. So what's that doing is it's pushing a little diddly whopper. I don't know the exact terminology for it, but it pushes into the bolt and pushes it, so it ensures that's fully seated. All right. So once you tap that sucker forward, then make sure that it's fully seated. Then you re-shoulder that sumbitch, and then the final S is squeeze. So you squeeze in order to shoot that son of a bitch. All right. So let's go through it one more time. Slap upwards on the magazine. Pull the charging handle all the way back. Observe the ejection of the cartridge. Release the charging handle. And tap the forward assist, and then squeeze to shoot. All right, you guys got it? So that's just something I wanted to run through real quick so you guys know. So the acronym is SPORTS. So just remember that when you're out in the field, and if you do have a malfunction, remember that'll get you through the vast majority of malfunctions on an AR platform. All right, number 6, accuracy. So this is another one that maybe not a lot of people want to agree with me on, but I don't give a fuck what anyone else says. ARs are accurate. And if you have a quality build and maintain it properly, it's just like any other rifle. Some are shooters and some just aren't. It's just the way it is. The good news here is that the customization aspect that we previously, then you can always upgrade. You can upgrade the trigger, the barrel, the fucking, bolt, whatever. You can upgrade all sorts of shit on your AR to get it shooting a little bit better. You can really tweak a lot of things with the accuracy of these weapons. So if you have one that is a little bit finickier with accuracy, then play around with it. Buy some new shit. Buy a new trigger. Swap out that upper receiver. If you bought a cheaper upper on your first build, buy another one. Buy a new one. Buy one that's a little bit more finely machined, if you will, and get a little bit higher quality shit and piece it together and make it shoot. So accuracy. Like I said, maybe not everyone agrees with me, but I don't care because these things are fucking accurate as long as you're doing your part and do your due diligence. All right. Number 7, optics galore. There's a shit ton of optics on the market that go along with an AR. All right. With the pick rail and all the rail customization you can do too, whether it's a pick rail or a fucking whatever, it doesn't matter. There's so much, especially, I'll just stick with pick rail for now. So when I say pick rail, it's short for Picatinny rail. So there is so much shit on the market, so much shit. I would be surprised if they even made an optic that was just like, you cannot put this on an AR. I would be very surprised. So that's pretty much about it for that. Whether it's a red dot, an LPVO, or a higher magnification scope, or a thermal, I feel like every good optic company makes at least some optics specifically for the AR too. Like specifically, like this optic is only made, like not only made, you can put it on a lot of shit with a pickerel, but there's a lot of optics that are made specifically for ARs, whether they're, red dots that ride up a little higher, they have a little spacer on them, so it brings that red dot higher up, so it's easier for acquisition and quick acquisition. So you don't have to you don't necessarily have to bury your head as deep into the buttstock in order to get a good visual on the red dot. They make a lot of stuff that can ride up a little higher and stuff. There's just so much you can do with it. And like I said, I'd be very surprised if you fucking got an AR and you couldn't, even if you have an optic at home and you buy an AR, I'd be surprised if you couldn't put that optic on an AR. There's definitely ways out there, whether it's, with certain scope rings or something like that. Obviously you can't put proprietary scope rings on an AR. Like my Ruger my Ruger Hawkeye, it takes the holy fucking shit, Jake. Proprietary rings. Damn, I'm not going to say that word anymore. It sounds weird now. But it takes special rings that only are made for that Ruger, right? So obviously I can't use those rings on an AR because they're made for Ruger. Easy enough? All right, moving on. Number 8, accessories. This kind of goes along with customization, but it's a little different. So the accessories you can get for these things is absolutely ludicrous. It's just like with the optics. Man, you can fit all sorts of different tactical fucking accessories on these weapons, right? So I'm talking, magnifiers for a red dot, bipods, tripods, quad pods, probably. I don't know. I guess I've never seen a quad pod. If there's a quad pod out there that you guys know of, and I haven't seen it, then fucking link me to that. I'd like to see what a quad pod looks like, I guess. But there's all sorts of shit out there that you can put on there. Weapon mounted lights, all sorts of stuff you can put on there to accessorize it. Make the world is your oyster, and so is your AR. All right, so make it unique to you. Do whatever you want to it. There's so much shit you can do for it. All right, moving on. Number 9. This one I kind of just threw in there. It's an opinion, but I threw it in there anyways because I wanted 10 reasons, and I didn't want to end it on. I didn't want to do 9 reasons, so I just kind of threw this in there. It's just an opinion of mine. You look fucking cool. All right, so pretty self-explanatory, but honestly, let's face it, AR-15s look cool. In my opinion, they look badass. You look cool shooting them. It's kind of like wearing nice clothes for the first time. You put them on, you just feel good. You look good, feel good, are good kind of deal. So I am actually a true believer in that. If you look good and you feel good, then you're going to be good. You're going to be a lot better than you would if you feel like you look stupid. Does that make any sense? Like if you look dumb as fuck, then you're not going to have the confidence that you should have, especially when you're shooting things. So ARs look badass, and you'll look badass as well when you're shooting. All right. Final point that I'm going to make about hunting with an AR. It's number 10. It's freedom. All right. Pretty clean cut there. It might be honestly the most important one in my opinion. It's a known fact that when certain guns become quote unquote common use, then they become very hard to ban. All right. The Supreme Court absolutely take this into account whenever an assault weapons ban or any type of weapons ban is getting passed through government. So obviously the way the government works, right? A bill gets put on the table. It starts getting passed to the House by the president, right? So if an assault weapons ban ever does pass the House, pass the Senate, get signed into law by the president of the United States, then there's going to be a lot of people and a lot of groups out there that are going to fight it. So that would make it go to the Supreme Court eventually. It would probably get all the way up there. It'd be a Supreme Court decision at that point whether that law is unconstitutional or not, which it obviously is unconstitutional to ban an AR-15 from law-abiding American citizens to have, So obviously we know that, but whenever a weapon or a rifle or a gun becomes common use, then that makes it even harder for that law to stand in court, right? So there's one thing that they definitely look at, and the best way to get a gun into the common use category is by using it for hunting purposes. So the 2A community and the hunting community, like I said in other previous podcasts, have always been allies, but let's face it, we all have our niches, and we will vehemently protect those niches if they ever come under attack. But the more hunters that use ARs to hunt with, then an assault weapons ban will affect more hunters. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to do the old bait and switch here, but when people are hunting with ARs, then it's going to affect more people. So with more people that get affected by dumbass laws, then there's going to be more uproar. So there will be more pushback whenever a cowardly politician decides to say, we're going to do an assault weapons ban. Because these politicians can't even, half the time they can't even explain what they mean by assault weapons. In my opinion, they mean black, scary, with big clips, right? What I just said, yeah, you catch that? Big clips, because that's what they like to say. Large clips, lots of clips with millions of rounds in each clip. By clip, I mean magazine, right? So when they really mean assault weapons, that's basically what they mean. If a fucking AR was wood-stocked and blue-barreled, then they probably wouldn't care as much. But for some reason, black really scares them. I don't know if it's like some deep-seated racism that they still harbor inside their hearts, but they definitely have an issue with black guns, and it's just the way it is. I think it's just a continuation of racism, but that's just me, But yeah, so the more people are using ARs, the harder it's going to be for them to outlaw. So freedom, that's my last point. So that's that. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and if you did like it, why don't you go ahead, give me a little review, hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, let me know what you think of it, and like always, let me know if there's any other topics you want me to cover. But this is just a fun little episode I wanted to put out there on why people should be using ARs, because let's face it, these ARs are next on the chopping block. They're constantly under attack by those politicians in Washington. So me personally, I would like to see more people using them, so there's less chance of it getting banned, because I love ARs. I think they're fucking sweet, and they do look cool. I'm not gonna lie, they're badass, and I think we should all be able to have one if we want one. And that's a big reason why I want to continue to buy AR-15s until I can't anymore, because you never know. It's the single most attacked gun in America, and it's also the most popular. So, like I said, hope you guys enjoy it and want to hear more from it. So let's kind of keep this thing going.